Hello students, today we will deal about the neuron. The neuron is the structural and the functional unit of the nervous system, and in generally the neuron is also called as the nerve cells. Okay, and we all know the basic structure of the neuron. It consists of a cell body and its processes, the axon and the dendrites. You can see here, this is a basic structure of the neuron. This is a cell body. Okay, the neuron consists of a cell body. A nucleus is present in the center, and these are the processes, dendrites as well as the axon. This completely is the basic structure of the neuron, and it is a structural and functional unit of the nervous system. Okay, the nervous system contains the neurons for its impulse transmission. Now, these axons, whatever the axons, we said that it consists of the axons. All together, that axons, if we bind them together, they are called as the nerves. Okay, and the one important thing to remember is the neurons, as the cells, they cannot divide. Okay, whatever are present during the childhood, the same number of neurons are present throughout our life. And here the brain doesn't contain any storage sites, or the neurons doesn't contain any storage sites. That is nothing but for their survival, for their functioning, they need the continuous supply of the oxygen and glucose. Okay, as they do not contain any storage sites, there should be continuous supply through the blood vessels or the cerebrospinal fluid. There should be the continuous supply of the oxygen and the glucose, and from that glucose only these neurons will be synthesizing the ATP. ATP is nothing but the adenosine triphosphate, nothing but it is a chemical energy, and the neurons gets that energy only from the glucose. That is the reason for their survival they need the continuous supply of the oxygen and the glucose. Okay, and now what is the main thing why we need the neurons in the nervous system means they help in generating and transmitting the impulses. Okay, whatever, for the touch or for any pain responses, there should be the transmission or generation of the impulses that is done by the neurons, and this generation and transmission of nerve impulses or the electrical impulses is termed as the action potential. Okay, and whatever the impulse, once it is started, the initial strength of the impulse, it is maintained throughout the length of the neuron. That is nothing but from the cell body, first dendrites will be taking, and from there to the cell body, then to the axon, like that it will be reaching to the throughout the neuron, the impulse strength will be maintained. Okay, and here we cannot say that all the neurons will be initiating the nerve impulses. Some neurons will initiate the nerve impulses while the others will be acting as the relay stations. Relay stations are nothing but they are as a stop. Okay, there the nerve impulses will be stopping and they are passed on to the other nerves. Okay, but here it doesn't analyze the impulses. Just its main aim is to pass on the impulse whatever is received to this station. Okay, to this neurons. Okay, understood? Like a train station laga, for example, the destination Tirupati to Hyderabad మధ్యలో ఏదన్నా ఊర్లు వస్తాయి కదా, they are called as a relay stations. They are not the actual stops. Say in the same manner, some of the neurons acts as a relay station, nothing but there the impulses will be stopping, and from there it will be passed on to the other neurons or they will be redirected to the other neurons. And we are saying that the neurons will be transmitting or generating an electrical impulse. Here what is a nerve impulse means, in response to the stimuli from inside our body or outside the body. For example, temperature is external. In response to that, how our body is responding. Okay, that initiation in response to stimuli from outside the body and inside the body, it is called as the nerve impulse. Okay, and how does the transmission of nerve impulse takes place means, both there will be the electrical signal as well as the chemical signal will be there. Electrical signal means whenever it travels down the axon, ante ఒకటే neuron, only one neuron, if one impulse or the action potential, we have already seen action potential is nothing but generation and transmission of the electrical impulses. Here that action potential traveling down the nerve axon means only one neuron, there will be only the electrical signals, no chemicals will be involved here. And what is meant by chemical means between one nerve cell and the other nerve cell, nothing but between two neurons. Okay, whatever the nerve impulse transmits between the two neurons, it is a chemical. Why? Because here there will be the involvement of the neurotransmitters or the chemicals, we can say. Okay, between the two neurons, whenever the transmission of impulse is between the two neurons, we will be calling it as a chemical signal. And whenever within one neuron, within a single neuron, only one neuron lo ayyadaithe, it is the electrical signal. There will be no involvement of any chemicals here. Okay, this is about the neuron basic, what is a neuron and how it will be transmitting the impulses. Now we will go with the axons, cell bodies and the dendrites. Now we will see about the cell bodies, the axons and dendrites, which are the part of the neuron. Here the cell bodies, they form the grey matter of the nervous system. We all know that in the brain or the spinal cord we will be having the grey matter and white matter. Here these cell bodies, they are found in the grey matter of the nervous system, mainly in the periphery, in the peripheral of the brain, and in the center of the spinal cord we can see the cell bodies. And coming here, the nerve cells or the neurons, we cannot see them with our naked eye. They'll be varying in different, they'll be having different sizes and shapes, and they're too small, we cannot see them directly with our eye. And here these cell bodies, whenever they are present in the groups in the central nervous system, nothing but in the brain or the spinal cord, they are called as the nuclei. And if they are present in the peripheral nervous system, the same cell bodies, if they are present in the peripheral nervous system, they are called as the ganglia. But there is a single exception, that basal ganglia, though it is situated in the cerebrum is nothing but, though it is situated in the CNS, it is called as the ganglia rather than the nuclei. That is the only exception here. And coming to the axons and the dendrites, they are the extensions of the cell bodies, and they are found in the white matter of the nervous system. Cell bodies are found in the grey matter, whereas the axons and dendrites are found in the white matter of the nervous system. These axons and dendrites, we have said that they are present in the white matter of the nervous system. Where is the white matter present? White matter is present in the center in the brain and periphery in the spinal cord. Okay, here that is nothing but they are found deep within the brain, and in the spinal cord they are present in the periphery, and in the periphery also when they are present in the group, they are termed as tracts. Okay, and outside the brain, sometimes these axons and dendrites are present outside the brain and the spinal cord. They are referred to as the nerves, or simply we can call them as a nerve fibers. And now coming individually to the axon as well as the dendrites, here we can see in the diagram, this is the cell body, these are the extensions of the dendrites, and this is the axon. Okay, you can see only one axon here. Okay, there will be no many branches will not be present from the cell body. This axon is the extension, and you can see here at the axon hillock, from the cell body at the axon hillock, a nerve cell, it is extending into the axon. Okay, whenever a nerve impulses are carried on or received from the by the cell body, they are carried away from the cell body into the axon, and the axons, they are as long as 100 centimeters in the length, and the outer structure, the membrane of the axon, we can call it as a axolemma. Okay, and here it whatever the cytoplasmic extension of the cell body is present, that is covered, that is present inside the axon. Okay, and here in the axons also, based upon the presence of the myelin sheath, they are classified into two types, myelinated neuron and the non-myelinated neuron. Here you can see the myelinated neuron is nothing but they are surrounded by the myelin sheath. See here, this is the myelin sheath. This neuron is a myelinated neuron. A cylindrical axis is present, central axis. It is surrounded by the myelin sheath, and at the gaps you can see this myelin sheath is not continuous. There are certain gaps. They are called as the nodes of Ranvier, and you can see here nucleus is outside the myelin sheath. Okay, and what is the importance of this myelinated neurons means this myelin sheath helps in the faster conduction of the impulses, in the immediate reflexes, like whatever the nerve fibers are transmitted or supplied to the skeletal muscles. For example, our movement, in our movement we need faster movement in response to the outer conditions. Sudden reflexes will be there. In that conditions, whatever the nerve fibers are supplied to the skeletal muscles, they are of the myelinated type. Because why? Because there should be the faster conduction of impulses. This myelin sheath helps in the faster conduction. Okay, at a very faster rate, maximum is 130 meters per 1 second. Okay, that is the thing. And almost all the skeletal muscle fibers, they consist of the myelinated neurons. And coming to the non-myelinated neurons, here you can see the non-myelinated neurons are not surrounded by any myelin sheath. They just contain a continuous membrane called as a neurilemma, and they contain a nucleus also, and these mostly they help in the slow conduction. Okay, slow conduction, and wherever there is no emergency, sloga aina parledu. Okay, slower functions. Most of the autonomic nerves are the non-myelinated. Okay, here most of the skeletal muscles are myelinated for the faster conduction. Most of the autonomic nerves are non-myelinated. Okay, this is about the axons, the structure of the axon, myelinated and the non-myelinated neurons. The next one is the dendrites. You can see here there are many short processes. What is the function of these short branches? You can see these are the branches of the dendrites. There are many dendrites are present in each neuron. What they will do? Previous to this, we will be having the other neuron will be present, right? These are the nerve terminals, or we can say that as a terminal buttons. From here, the impulse will be carried by means of the dendrites. Nothing but they will be carrying the incoming impulses. Okay, and they'll send that incoming impulses to the cell body, and that impulse will be carried on through the axon, again reaches here to the terminal buttons. From here again the other neuron will be present, and here dendrites are present. They will be receiving that impulses. Okay, dendrites are nothing but they are the many short processes that are present, and they'll be receiving and carrying the incoming impulses towards the cell body. And coming to the structure of the dendrites, they have the same structure as that of the axons. Okay, but they are shorter than the axons, and they are usually branches, and each neuron contains only one axon. But dendrites, there are many dendrites, and there will be many branches will be present. And in motor neurons, you know that what is the importance of the motor and the sensory? Sensory is nothing but from the effector organ, it will be receiving the impulse and it will send to the brain or the CNS. Motor is nothing but from the CNS, after analyzing the impulse from the CNS, it will send the impulse to the effector, and meanwhile we will be responding according to that. In certain conditions, in this condition, if in motor neurons, what does the dendrites do means they'll form the part of the synapse. Here what is the synapse means? The junction between this is a postsynaptic, we can say this is a before neuron. Whatever the junction is present between the two neurons, whatever the union between the two neurons, it is called as a synapse. There the dendrites will be forming the part of the synapse. Okay, and whereas in the sensory neurons, okay, sensory neurons what they'll do means they'll form the sensory receptors. They'll be forming a part of the sensory receptors. Sensory receptors is nothing but whatever, if there is a pinch or single pain is there, they help in responding according to that specific stimuli. Okay, this is about the dendrites, and this is a complete information about the neuron. What is a neuron and what is a part of the neuron? It consists of a cell body, an axon, and then many processes. Dendrites are present. It consists of a terminal bodies, and this is all about the structure of the neuron.